there, fellow marketers. Professor Wolters here, and today we're here in Stonington, Connecticut, and today we're going to talk about is bias in marketing research. Now, what you have to realize as a marketer, when you're doing marketing research, you want it to be as independent as possible. You do not want any bias in there. You don't want any fake answers. You just want the truth so you can make the best decisions and make the best strategies and tactics that relate to this marketing research, and that's why it needs to be bias-free. But the thing is, biases do sneak into marketing research, just like they sneak into any kind of research, okay? Whether you're looking at political polls or what is the best type of toothpaste polls, you do see bias kind of slip in. And so what I want to do in this video is kind of talk about some of the confirmation biases that you might see in real life so you can not make those biases, so you can have a better kind of marketing research or just a better poll in general to give you better information. And one that I think is one I see the most is actually what's called confirmation bias. And what confirmation bias is when we really want to prove something that we already believe. Like, I want to prove that I have the best class in the entire university. And so I go up to students and say, hey, student, what's the best class at your university? And the student's like, whoa, your class, Mark. That's right, Professor Wolters does have the best class. Yeah, of course, I want to get that answer I want to get, but you don't want that, okay? It's kind of like when you're dealing with kids, you know, and they're like, well, my friend's parents let them do that. I'm like, well, that's one friend that says it's okay. Caleb's mom said it was okay to do that. That does not mean that all moms say it's okay. They're finding that one person or that one thing that confirms what they want to have happen. So what ends up happening is you keep looking for data that proves you right, and you take data that proves you wrong, and maybe you don't look at it. That's why you've got to keep your eyes open. You've got to be accepting of answers and research that says yes to you, but also that says no to you. Because you really don't want to exclude important data that might prove you wrong. You want it in there. You want to make sure you're getting the right answer, not just the answer that you want. That's why when you're doing marketing research, it's really important not to tell them what you're looking for, what you're trying to figure out. Because think about it, you can really influence them. If I say, yes, do you agree that the honorable and honest and good Harry Stone is a wonderful judge? Well, right there, I'm already leading you. You got to be careful. So it's just going to confirm that I want you to say yes, and it's going to give me the answer kind of I want. You don't want those kind of things. You don't want to get those things confirmed already. You want it to be independent. Now, another bias you might see is what's called selection bias. And this is when we kind of choose a group of people who maybe don't necessarily represent the whole population. It's kind of like if I only ask the Professor Wolters superfans, what are the videos you'd like to watch? Well, yeah, my super fans will give us some ideas, but those aren't necessarily ones that are going to resonate with everybody, that are going to get 1 million views. I mean, go to youtube.com/Professor Wolters and click on videos, then click on, list by most viewed. I think there's like one video with 20,000 views. There's no 1 million view videos. And we make videos that our super fans want. So we realize, look, if I want to get something, I want to find out marketing research, what's going to be the questions or the videos, the business videos that are really going to take off? I need to expand my selection base. I need more people. I need people that aren't necessarily my super fans that are doing that, or not just my students, because my students will only ask stuff about their class. I mean, if you're my student watching this right now, please, in the comments below, put any kind of business topic you'd want a video for, and I'll try to make it. But if you're not in a marketing student, you're like, dude, I'm not typing anything in. So you do have some problems because you can't always get a perfect sample, all right? Because the thing is this selection bias, it can happen on purpose. I'm only asking our super fans, or it can happen by accident. I mean, think about it. Who answers their phone between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon when people are making marketing calls? I mean, do you answer your call when it says spam risk? Or do you answer your phone and you're like, I don't know that number? Hell no. My kids could be in the hospital. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know this number. I'm not answering it. So that can be another thing that could influence and bias your study. Now, another thing that can really throw off your data and give it some bias are what we call outliers, okay? This is when you have some value that's way off, like just way off. I mean, I think about Shaquille O'Neal, okay? Shaquille O'Neal played at Louisiana State University, LSU, and I said, okay, what is the average lifetime income of an LSU basketball player from the early 90s? Well, I mean, how many of those guys actually went on to play professional basketball? But one was Shaquille O'Neal, who's made hundreds of millions of dollars. So isn't that going to skew the actual average? That's why when you start seeing outliers, you start seeing numbers that are way too high or way too low, sometimes you eliminate them. to give yourself a better idea. Or what you'll do is you'll take like a median or a mean or a middle number in there to give you a better idea of what truly represents your group. Maybe you only take the middle 50% and you eliminate those top, the high 25% and the low 25%. Now, another bias you might see if you're doing marketing research is more, it's called the acquiescence bias, but it's more like the whatever you want bias, I like to call that. And this is when your respondents tend to agree with you just to be in a positive way with you, just to kind of agree with you. I'm agreeing with you just to agree with you so we can move on. I mean, how many of you have been a student and you agreed, yes, this sounds like a great idea. This is great. This is great. This is great. Can I get my free shirt? Or this is great. This is great. This is great. Can I get my free lunch? These things happen. I've done it myself. I'm like, yeah, this is the best restaurant ever. Yes, I would gladly write a review. Oh, it's so wonderful. And I get a free dessert as well. Thank you. And sometimes this happens when people kind of feel that the researcher knows what's right. That's why sometimes it's better to have kind of independent marketing researchers that are just asking questions. Not you, the expert, but somebody else. Because if I come and say, yes, I'm Dr. Professor Mark Wolters, and I am speaking about marketing and YouTube, you're like, oh, this dude knows what he's talking about. It's going to skew your answers based on what I ask, right? So sometimes you want to just have independent people do that and ask the questions. That's why it's important when you're writing your questions for your surveys, don't imply that there's a right answer or a better answer. Just ask, here's the answers out there. You pick what works best for you. There's no right answer, because sometimes they just want to make you happy with you asking questions because they like seeing those marketing researchers happy and like, oh, they got the answers they want. I can move on with my life and so can they. But as a marketing researcher, you don't want that. You want the truth. You don't necessarily want to be happy. Now, the next bias I want to talk about could be one that some of my students used on their parents back in the day, and this is the habitation bias. So this is respondents answer out of habit. Have you ever done this? You talk to your parents, you're like, hey, Dad, could you take me to school tomorrow? Yeah, Dad. Hey, Dad, could I get some lunch money for tomorrow? Yeah, sure, Dad. Hey, Dad, could I get an Xbox? And I was like, yeah, oh, you almost got me there. Yeah, it's answering the question so people get into a habit of answering the same thing. If you travel into the US, they ask you all these questions and they're all no. So by the end, you're not even reading. You're like they could literally ask you anything on the last question and no one reads it. They're just like, no, I did not bring $10,000. No, I do not have any livestock. No, I did not go to any farms. No. Okay, move on. You don't actually even read those last questions. You just habitually answer da-da-da-da-da. And you want to be careful with that because you don't want them just answering thinking, oh, it's just a simple answer, go in the row, answer the same thing again and again and again. You want them to think about their answers. So what you need to do to avoid this habitation bias is really mix up your questions. Don't just have it, do you like Mondays? Do you like Tuesdays? Do you like Wednesdays? Is it, do you like Mondays? Are weekend your favorite time of the year? Do you have vacation in October? You're like, mix it up so they have to think about each question because it's the same type of question over and over again. Their minds kind of shut down and they just go, done. And this one kind of relates to another kind of bias you might see. And this is the last one I want to talk about here is what we call a question order bias. I mean, the order of your questions really can influence how people think, how they respond. And that's why it's important when you put your order in, you kind of maybe want to start more general and work your way down and down and down because people become more open to sharing stuff as they go. And also, you might want to ask positive questions first. So you're getting positive, is a good experience. What did you like? What is this? So people feel like, oh, I've given them all this nice information. And then when you go to the negative side, what didn't you like about the class? What don't you like about these videos? What could we do to improve? Because, maybe at the beginning you don't want to be mean to me, but now you've been sitting here for 10 minutes? You're like, all right, he's got enough stuff, let's do it. And then boom, and you give all that extra information. So really, your question order bias can really influence how people answer you. So think about what you really want to learn and schedule and order your questions in the right order, all right, to help avoid some of those biases. So these are some biases that I see insanely a lot of times from businesses, from pollsters, from all kinds of stuff. So I hope this can help you do a better job talking to your clients and learning from them so you can do a better job. Anyway, I wish you all the best. I'll say bye from here in Stonington, Connecticut.